Good afternoon, guys. It's Workin bringing you a quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. We're looking at Bitcoin to the US dollar, just the one-day chart on Coinbase. And guys, I'm going to try to go through these very quickly. A lot of you have requested updates on certain altcoins that I've covered in the past, so I'm going to try to do that real quick as I'm trying to get out the door as well. So I do apologize if I do kind of rush through this very, very quickly. This will just be a very quick update. Again, looking at Bitcoin to the US dollar one-day chart, and we're looking at what possibly may be a rising ascending broadening wedge here. Not a rising wedge, a broadening wedge. That hasn't been confirmed yet, but it is looking likely, guys. We have 1, 2, 3 hits to the upside, 3 hits to the downside at least, which does meet the criteria for a rising wedge. We'll kind of have to wait and see how this plays out. As of right now, what we're doing is we're seeing resistance exactly where we would have expected. Price did in the past year, obviously, price was acting, or excuse me, 5350 was acting as a very strong resistance here in the past. Finally, we broke up above it here, acted as support briefly, bounced up above, got rejected at our descending resistance line here that I had pointed out on my last update, and then, of course, just crashed right below. And we're seeing again, once again, that 5350 act as resistance as price comes back up here. So we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. Oftentimes, when you get a broadening wedge, as ascending broadening wedge like this, guys, probability does favor the downside, but it's not very much. It's only like about, if I remember right, 55%-ish, something like that. It's only about a 5%, or excuse me, about a 10% favor to the downside, which, you know, is significant, but, you know, it's definitely better than casino odds, or worse, I should say, than casino odds. Or is it better? Shit, I can't remember. It's been too long. But anyway, what we're looking at here, if this does end up being the case, guys, we could see something like this where we come up, hit this area of resistance again, come back down, get a fake out move, and then right back up. Oftentimes, the ending of a broadening wedge is often noticed by price coming back down, not meeting the resistance or support area, reversing course, and then just breaking out. So we could see something like that. If this thing is going to break out bullish, if this thing is going to break out bearish, we may be looking at something like this. We may be looking at that climb right now, hitting resistance right now, and then, of course, just a drop. And again, this is if this is an ascending broadening wedge. I'm not even sure that it is. What we are, and I don't like to get caught up in a lot of these patterns, guys. I mean, people start seeing shapes. I mean, it's just sometimes it gets pretty ridiculous. But I just want to point out that this does meet the criteria here of an ascending broadening wedge here. But the thing you should be most concerned with is basics. Go right back to the basics, guys. Anytime you're not sure about something, and that is support resistance, guys. And we are seeing resistance at that 5350. I do think a break above 5350 with consolidation would be a bullish sign. If we do break above what could be this the top of this ascending broadening wedge here, or this descending resistance line here, I do think a break above that, guys, or in other words, taking out this prior high right here at approximately 5650 would be an extremely, extremely bullish sign. And I think that would be your first indicator, obviously, that you're going to be coming up and hitting 6,000 if we can start consolidating above that. To the downside, of course, we have our ascending support line here of the what could be a broadening wedge, but more importantly, we do have what looks like the makings now of a supply zone, this area of support down here between approximately 5,000, really 5,050, and 4,900. I think anything in this between 5,000 and 4,900 could be a good buy. Expecting a bounce off there, I would not go in heavy, knowing that if that does break down, guys, it's going to be a quick drop down to 4,500 down here. But we do have a decent supply zone here. How do we know that? We could see that price broke up above. That area started acting as support, bounced up above, came back down again, and all we've had since then is price dancing on top of it, only penetrating by a wick, which does signal a lot of buy orders that are still sitting in here between 5,000 and 4,900. Including some of my buy orders. So there's no question that this should act as decent support. We'll have to wait and see how this ends up playing out, guys, but there's no question that that is a decent area of support. There's also no question if 4,900 does break down, if we get a decisive break below 4,900, by decisive I mean a daily candle opening and closing below 4,900, again, I think that's going to be your sure sign that we're going to be coming back down here to 4,500, if not, or 4,550 at least, if not 4,500, possibly the ascending support line here, which could bring us all the way down to 4,400, 4,350. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But certainly a break below 4,900 decisively would, in my opinion, break us down to 4,550, if not 4,500, and that would be a good sign to go in short, in my opinion. Looking at our indicators, we are getting a little bit of conflicting information. If we come over here and we look at, this is on the daily, if we look at our daily RSI, or excuse me, if we look at our daily MACD. Looking at our histogram here, obviously price created the histogram created a lower low. If we look at the exact same point on price, we have a higher low that is clearly divergence. In this case, this being an uptrend, we're looking at the bottom. That's bearish divergence, that's hidden divergence, and in this case, hidden bullish divergence. So that would suggest a break up in price, which certainly is on the table. We also see that this daily RSI, I'll just pull it up here. I told you guys before that this 53.9 area is a very, very relevant zone, guys. We can see it was resistance in the past, then it started, once it broke above, started acting as support, and it is still dancing right on top of that, guys. Had a nice bounce off that zone, still acting as support. So as long as we're above that 53.9, I do think that's bullish. A break below that would be extremely bearish in my opinion. Looking at the Stoke, and again, I don't really look at this very often, guys. I certainly don't look at the daily because it's a little bit unreliable. But looking at the weekly, guys, we're looking at the weekly Stoke sitting up here, topping out, maxing out. It's starting to cool off here just a little bit. But the last time we saw Stokes this high, guys, was all the way back in December when price just started tanking. From our $20,000 all the way down to our bear market that we still remain in, at least. All indicators that we are possibly transitioning to a bull market, but until we do, we are still in a bear market, right? So the last time we were up here, guys, we had a major correction. So looking at this, guys, we can see that we've sit up in this zone and sat up in an overbought area on the Stokes for quite a while in the past here, guys. Or we've had some instances where it's been sitting in overbought territory for quite a while before the major breakdown. So we could see that again, but there's no question, guys, that this is screaming, even if we have one more kick up to 6,000, this is screaming for a correction here at some point. And at some point, logic tells us, history tells us that's going to happen. Looking at the weekly chart, weekly chart overall is bullish. The fact that we're consolidating here above 5,000 is a bullish sign. We're cooling off a little bit here, haven't had a major correction. Again, that would lead me to believe that we may have another kick up here to test 6,000 before we get that larger 20, 25, 30% correction that I do believe we're going to have at some point. But that being said, guys, that we could just as easily see a breakdown. So I think we're sitting in a no trade zone, in my opinion. I think we're sitting between 53.50, strong resistance, and we have strong support sitting at 5,000, between 5,000 and 4,900. If you're dollar cost averaging in for the long haul, there's no question, guys, go ahead and start doing that. But in my opinion, guys, this is really a no trade zone. I'll buy Bitcoin between 5,000 and 4,900. I'm going to sell Bitcoin if we come up here and retest 53.50, but a break above 53.50, guys, again, would be a good buy signal in my opinion. That being said, even if we do break above that 53.50 signaling, we're going to come up and test 6,000. I do think it's going to be just that, guys. I think we're going to be looking at something like this. If it does break to the upside, we're going to be hitting somewhere between 5,800, 5,900, maybe even 6,000, and then a pretty strong breakdown. Now, could it go higher than that? Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've showed you guys here in the past that there's a lot of resistance all the way up to and including 6,500. So yeah, could we wick up above 6,000? Yeah, but I do think there's a lot of sell orders that are sitting up in here, guys. So I'd be very surprised if we sat above 6,000 for any period of time. If we do consolidate above 6,000, that'd be extremely bullish. But more than likely, guys, if we do break up, maybe wick above 6,000, I'm expecting a fairly strong rejection for that larger breakdown. That larger breakdown being defined as somewhere around 25, maybe even 30%. Overall, guys, we can see that we are possibly entering into a wedge type pattern where we're getting a series of lower highs, higher lows as we approach the apex here, guys. That would suggest a larger move to come. Let's come over and check our moving averages, exponential moving averages. This is on the daily chart. We can see that we're still sitting above the 8-day EMA. We're been bouncing on top of this 21-day EMA. I cannot stress enough. If you guys have watched my videos for any amount of time, I'm always emphasizing the 21-day EMA. That is still a very relevant zone, has been here for the past week, bouncing right up on top of it, guys. There's no question if we break below that 21-day EMA decisively, watch out below. Could be a free fall all the way down to 4,500 at least. We can see that with 50-day moving averages sitting right down here, we're ready to act as support. But that 200-day moving average all the way down here, guys, just so happens to be coinciding nicely with approximately 4,500, maybe a little bit lower than that. And again, I would expect that to act as a decent support. All right, let's go ahead and move on to EOS. And I'm going to run through these altcoins very quickly, guys. EOS just broke below an area of, this was a strong area of support sitting here between about $5.25 and $5.10. It broke below that area of support, and now we have a confirmed resistance. Price broke back up. What was support is now acting as resistance, been rejected off here twice here on the daily chart. And that is a rather bearish sign, even though we haven't had a strong rejection as of yet. So I think EOS also in a no trade zone. I think anything down between 450 and 427, really 425, let's call it, is a decent buy for EOS, knowing though that if 427 breaks down, it could be a quick drop to 350. I think anything above this zone, if we break above 425, start consolidating above 425, I think there's a good chance we're going to take another shot at $6 up here. $6 is going to be a very hard zone to break above. As I've shown you guys in the past, there's a very strong supply zone up here, a lot of sell orders, as is evident by price breaking down, wick, all the way fast forward here another few weeks, and a very strong rejection here again, right at the $6 range. So $6 I would expect to act as a decent resistance. If we do get above $6, guys, really above 610 and start consolidating above that, that's when I'm going to start to believe that the bulls are back for EOS, and I think that we do have a lot more upside if that does happen. For now, guys, we're kind of stuck between a no trade zone again, in my opinion. I think anything between 450, 425 is a good buy. I think anything up above 425 might be a very quick swing trade up, targeting $6 up here. It'd be a rather risky play. I don't know if I would play it. Anything above $6, a decisive break above $6 and consolidating above that $6 range, I think is a good buy as well. And if you're dollar cost averaging in, there's no question. I think that EOS overall long term is a very, very good buy. I'm talking to more day and/or swing traders right now. I think it's kind of in a no trade zone at the moment. Looking at BAT, basic attention token, I'm going to give you two views. I'm going to give you the US dollar, BAT to US dollar track calculated by TradingView on Binance. I'm just noticing that there is a discrepancy on this, guys. We can see that it's trading at 40 cents on the calculated view on Binance. If we look at Tether, it's currently trading at 38.3 cents, guys. That is a discrepancy. That Tether is currently at $1, so that they should match up, and they're not. So overall, looking at the big picture, guys, I think we are also on BAT, guys, kind of consolidating within a wedge here. I think below here between 36 and 35 cents is a good buy. I think if we break above 30 or 45 cents, I think that's a sell, and I think anything between 39 and 45 cents, guys, is kind of a no trade zone in my opinion. I would wait for that breakdown or that break up to sell. If you're holding BAT, I would continue to hold it for the long haul. I think it's an excellent coin to hold for the long haul, guys. In the short term, if you're trading BAT, though, I do think BAT is sitting in a no trade zone. Let me zoom in here to Tether. Actually, sorry, guys. What I wanted to show you, my whole point is showing you that US dollar chart, guys, even though there is a little bit of a discrepancy, is this zone up here between 50 cents and 55 cents. This is and I'm looking at the US dollar chart calculated by TradingView because it has a lot more history, whereas the Tether chart does not. So looking at the larger history, guys, you can see there's a major area of resistance between 50 cents and 55 cents. Tether's got to break above that 55 cents range. If it does do that, I think that it has a lot more upside, but know that anything up above here, anything even close to 50 cents, guys, is going to be a very, very risky play. There's a very strong chance of rejection between 50 cents and 55 cents. So just to know there's a very hard lid up above BAT that it's going to take a lot to get through. Doesn't mean we can't get through it, just means it's going to take a lot to get through it, looking at the bigger picture. If we zoom in here, though, looking at BAT to Tether, kind of give you for your day and or swing traders, we can see that it's kind of got what could be construed as a possible bear flag that's being, or excuse me, bull flag that's in the making here. I've heard some people say that. I don't really, does that look like a bull flag to you? Yeah, I guess you could make the argument. Again, I think I would go back to more basics, which is support and resistance. Up above here, looking at resistance, guys, here again for day and or swing traders, we've got resistance between 41 43 cents. Down here below, we've got between 36 and 37 cents. It's just literally trading right on top of that zone. So I think if we come back down here for you day and or swing traders, anything at around 36 cents is decent for a quick scalp trade. Start buying at 36, getting out at 37, 38 cents, something like that, guys. I think that's a decent zone to look at. But if it does, sorry guys, let me get my English back together here. If it does break below 36 cents, I think it'd be a very quick drop down here to 32 cents. We had kind of this double top here, broke down, and then just the bulls just pushed it right back above. So I think if we do decisively break below 36 cents, which also happens to coincide with the 21-day EMA right down here, which, as I said, guys, is an extremely relevant EMA. I think if we do break below that, guys, I think it could be a very quick drop to 32 cents. I think that at 32 cents is a must buy if it ever does get down here. I'm not saying it's going to, but if it does, I think BAT is a must buy at 32 cents. In the meantime, guys, I would continue for your scalp and or day traders. I continue to sell between 43 and 40 cents. I'd continue to buy between 36 and 37 cents, and at the moment, it's in a no trade zone. Let's quickly look at BNB. Looking at Binance Coin, very similar situation, guys. Binance Coin is kind of stuck between resistance and support. We've got support down here at, support, sorry guys, zooming in here. There we go. We're sitting right on top of support currently between 2120 and 2170, bouncing right on top of that zone. If that does break, I think it's going to be a quick drop to $19.65. I think BAT is a good buy at $19.65. I think I think we're going to find some decent support there if it does break down to that level. If that level does break, I wouldn't sell. I would add to my position at $17.26, guys, because I think if it does break, it'll be a quick drop to $17.25 and then a major break right back up. I think it's going to hit hard off that zone if it does break down there. I think it hit hard off that zone and we'd have a decent bounce off that zone. So again, not financial advice, just my opinion. As of right now, guys, I think it's kind of possibly a no trade zone. If you want to do a quick scalp, scalping down here at approximately 21.20 and all the way at targeting 23.20, that's a decent scalp trade in my opinion, guys. Really bouncing. We're currently between 23.20 and 21.20 in my opinion. So I think that's as of right now, kind of a no trade zone. If it drops a little bit further, you may want to go into take a quick scalp. Quickly looking at Ethereum. All right, quickly looking at Ethereum, guys. Sorry, I had to pause the video there real quick. Ethereum big picture is still, we're looking at the daily chart. Ethereum big picture is still looking like what may be an ascending or rising wedge here, an ascending wedge here. Sorry, guys, not a rising wedge. Yeah, a rising wedge. Sorry, guys, can't think here. Right now, it's stuck below, guys. I told you this last time. It kind of hit right off of our area of ascending support. Currently sitting the top of this zone here, right at around 165. I think a break above 165 would confirm a continuation to the upside, so we could be looking at something like this. Now we may hit 185, which was an area of resistance in the past, or we may come up and hit. Either way, we get a rejection in this zone, and then if this does come to fruition, if it does end up playing out that way, I think it'd be a hard rejection somewhere in this zone here, and then a fairly strong breakdown. Now, is this area between 150 and 165 going to act as support and going to hold up? If this is a rising wedge, probably not. More than likely, could we get another bounce off here and it looks something like that? Yeah, but more than likely, at some point, we're going to get a larger correction, and I think at some point, we're going to come down to this zone right here at approximately 132 if we get that larger correction on Bitcoin. And of course, it'll depend on how close we get to this wedge here. The closer we get to the wedge, typically the larger the breakout. If it were to break out now, I can see a scenario where it does break down and 150 does even hold. But I don't think that's likely. I think more than likely we're going to come up here, possibly hit up above 165, maybe 165, 170, the top of this prior zone here, wick up above it, and then a stronger breakdown, in my opinion. Doesn't mean that has to happen, just kind of mean that's what I'm looking at here in the here at the overall big picture, overall long term. Looking short term, if you're trading Ethereum, I think a break up above 165 here with consolidation would be a bullish sign. I would take that trade, targeting possibly 175, 180, this zone up here, if that does break above, and if we get consolidation. That's a big if. At the moment, I think it's kind of a no trade zone. If you wanted to continue to play the drops down to this area, this ascending support line here, or this prior area of support right here between approximately 150 and, between approximately 148 and 151. That would be a decent buy, just quick scalp trade targeting about 155-ish, 157. But really, Ethereum is not a very good coin in my opinion right now to day trade at all. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap Ethereum there. Looking at Ripple, that's not the chart I wanted. There we go. Looking at Ripple, let me zoom out here to the daily chart, guys. As we showed you last time, Ripple should have, I think Ripple fooled a lot of people, guys, looking at this chart from the, again, from the 30,000 foot view. Ripple was all transgressing into this very, very tight area of, or the apex of this very tight wedge. It should get a larger breakout. It looked like it was going to, and then it just fizzled out right here between 38 cents and 40 cents. We had a strong rejection coming back down here, breaking that ascending support line here that had been in place since early 2017, and then coming back down and hitting 28 cents. Now, it did bounce pretty hard off 28 cents, which is a fairly bullish sign in the short term. I told you last time that 28 cents would act as decent support. It did. If you bought that scalp trade, it was a decent scalp, guys, but I think it's currently in a no trade zone. I think if it comes back down here to 28 cents, you may want to scalp it again, but we have very hard support, or very hard resistance at 38 cents, between 38 and 40 cents. That's going to be very difficult to get through. If we do start consolidating above 40 cents, guys, I think it'll take a shot at 47.50 cents, which again is another rather hard resistance, but I need to see consolidation above 40 cents for that to happen, and I think that's a tall order right now for Ripple. I think breaking below 28 cents, if it does break below that, guys, I think it'll be a quick drop to 25 cents. Personally, I wouldn't touch Ripple right now. out with a 10-foot pole. I'd stay out and I'd wait to see how this whole thing is going to end up playing out. But if it comes down here 28 cents, it could be a buy for a quick scalp. Anything up here between 38 and 40 cents is a definite sell in my opinion. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap things there, guys. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, would appreciate an upvote if you have enjoyed this content. Until next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Workin. Signing.